This is not the Batman you know. This is a Batman who bites, scratches, and even uses firearms. I'm Andrew the Geek Master, and in today's video, we'll dive into the story of the absolute Batman's Year One, from the brutal beginning to the transformation that defined the true Dark Knight. Don't forget to leave a like to help the channel, and to make sure you never miss stories like this, click that subscribe button, turn on the bell, and let's get started. The chapter starts with a flashback of Joe Chill's trial, the man who killed Thomas Wayne. Young Bruce attends the trial and surprisingly asks to speak, claiming he has something urgent to say. Given the nature of the case, the judge grants Bruce the floor, who is crying heavily and has a face full of rage. Then the scene jumps forward many years where we see Bruce Wayne's early adventures as Batman, essentially the year one of the absolute Batman. At one point, 3 criminals were extorting money from a store owner in Crime Alley. When the store owner refuses to give them money in exchange for supposed protection, the thugs throw her off the roof of a building. However, strangely, she is saved, which leaves the criminals quite puzzled. This is when Batman finally appears in his very vampire-like look. And yes, Bruce's idea in his early days was to actually pretend to be a vampire. He makes some eerie sounds, has fangs, bites people, and even uses Wolverine-style claws to attack criminals. All this was meant to instill fear in people, and he succeeded because both the criminals and civilians were terrified of his presence. At that point, one of the criminals pulls out a gun and shoots at the vigilante, who defends himself using his cape. He then strikes the thug in the neck, draws a gun, and points it at the criminal. Then, we get another flashback to explain why Bruce chose the bat as his symbol. In this flashback, Bruce was about to participate in a competition for prodigy engineers, and he chose to design a project inspired by bats. It was a bridge meant to protect animals in dangerous zones, an intimidating bridge just like bats are. Thomas didn't understand why the bridge had to be intimidating, but Bruce explained that this is what would make people feel safe. Then we return to the moment where Batman is pointing a gun at the thug. Fortunately, he doesn't shoot the guy, realizing that his current approach is all wrong. When more thugs appear, Bruce decides to flee and return to his hideout. That night, he burned his vampire-like suit, discarded his gun, signaling that he didn't want to kill people, and he also realized that getting rid of street criminals wouldn't change anything because a new gang would simply take their place. That's when he began working on a new suit and hitting the gym hard. He started thinking big, and about how to take down a group of thugs who were smuggling weapons into Gotham. These weapons were arriving in the city via trucks, and the police allowed them to enter because they were bought off by the Maroni and Falcone families, who had significant influence in Gotham City. One night, he followed one of those trucks using a mini remote-controlled Batmobile. When the truck enters a tunnel, Batman finally appears in front of it, wearing a less theatrical but still intimidating suit. The driver even tries to run the hero over, but Batman uses the mini-remote Batmobile as a lever, lifting the back of the truck and stopping the weapons shipment. The thugs panic and jump out of the trucks, not understanding what happened, and they remain clueless as to why Batman quickly defeats them. Bruce thinks this approach is better than before, but something is still missing. Then he remembers his second design for the bridge, inspired by the adaptability of bats. Thomas liked the project, but to help Bruce, he shares that as a child, he wanted to become a heart surgeon because his own father had died from a heart attack. So he wanted to be a doctor to prevent any other child from having to go through what he did. But when Martha got pregnant, he realized that as a teacher, he could help children feel safe by preparing them for the world. This is who he is at his core. Bruce just needs to discover the essence of the bat to create his best design. Well, after stopping that weapons shipment, Bruce embarked on a journey across the country to decide his next move and perhaps discover his essence. It was during this journey that he encountered several bats, which brought back an old memory. He remembered how he finally came up with his winning design. Before, he had been thinking only about the bridge, not about the people who would use it. In the end, he created a sleek, adaptable design that could be used both as originally intended and also be molded by people according to their needs. For those who didn't get it, the bridge represents Batman. Although he is intimidating, he adapts to help the greatest number of people. Then we are taken back to the past when Bruce made a statement at Joe Chill's trial. He told Chill that the morning of the zoo trip was the happiest moment of his life, and he would never be that happy again. He then told Chill that he hated him and left before Chill could give his own statement because he didn't care about the reason why Chill killed his father. Now we jump to the moment when Bruce returned to Gotham City. It was when he finished building his absolute Batman suit, the one we know, and set up several hideouts in the sewers and skyscrapers. One night, he was watching a charity event attended by Gotham's elite, including Randall Powers, the owner of the trucking company that the Maronis and Falcones use to smuggle weapons into the city. Although he denies knowing that criminals were using his vehicles and publicly supported stricter laws to prevent such things from happening again, in reality, he's privately lobbying to prevent these laws from being passed. As Batman himself says, they've fed off Gotham so much that there's nothing left. This is when we see the absolute Batman in his over-the-top supersuit, evading the police and claiming that the essence of the Bat is to defy the impossible. And to finish, on the last page, we see young Bruce entering Blackgate Penitentiary and visiting Joe Chill. He confronts the thug peacefully, finally wanting to hear what he has to say. Remember, this scene takes place in the past, but as shown in previews issues, in the present, Bruce visits his father's killer every 2 weeks. And that's how Batman went from a vampire-like vigilante to the ultimate Dark Knight. We've seen his journey from his early mistakes to the moment when he truly understood what it means to be Batman for Gotham. Now, I want to know what you think of this version of Batman. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell, because there's always more epic content coming your way. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next adventure.